Well, hello, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome, Valerie.
Hello.
Live from Las Vegas, RubiesLV podcast, coming to you from the Strip. Val, I thought it would be good to have you on the podcast and ask you some burning questions.
I know. I think this would be so fun. I'm so excited.
I'm excited to have you. So we're here at AVN, which is the Adult Video News annual porn convention here in Las Vegas, Nevada. This is your what? Your third or fourth one?
Third.
Yes. Because the shutdown, we didn't have one that year. So, And a lot of people like to ask questions because they're like, wow, this is crazy. You're here with your daughter. They're confused. They're just confused in general that we're giving them a gift and we don't want anything in return. And then I'm like, explaining to them about their gift. And they're like, oh, we like this or we like that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was Valerie's idea to buy that. She found that online for you. That was all her. And they're like, your daughter. So what can you share with the viewers about what this looks like from your vantage point, being the daughter of a sex industry survivor? What do you have to say about that?
I really enjoyed putting together the gift bags. I think it was like probably one of the best things out of this whole experience. That and like buying the stuff for the gift bag and picking it out. And then also probably giving the gift bags to the women that are still in the industry and just seeing like their faces and being like, wow, like you're actually giving me something and you're not like wanting to take something away from me, like how all these other like grimy men that are in there.
Oh, wow. She's probably going to be a little bit too honest, too real. Bring it back in. But no, yeah, they do get shocked, right? Because they're like, it's like a genuine, reaction of, wow, there's somebody giving me something, not wanting something in return, right? Like we've talked about that before. A lot of times too, some of the girls that have children and they hear that you're my daughter, they're like, how does that work? Do you know your mom's story? And, what do you think you could share about, what does this dynamic look like for you? What is the feeling that you get from this as far as like, is it weird because I'm your mom and you've heard my story before and then we're like in this hypersexual environment, right? Where everything is being pushed a certain way. What are your thoughts on when people ask you, what is that like? Doing this with your mom and knowing her story?
I think it's actually really fun. I really enjoy like when the women ask us like, wait, that's your mom? I thought that was your sister because we look so young.
Wait, thank you.
No, but like I actually really enjoy it. Like I really love like talking and connecting to the women and just providing kind of like that support of knowing that there's a light at the end of the tunnel and that when they, if they haven't had kids, like when they do have kids or if they do have kids currently, like, being an open book and open and honest with your child about your past. And
does it feel weird that I've shared pretty much my whole story with you?
No.
Did it feel weird at the time when I was telling you?
No, I felt bad for you.
Thank you. I felt bad for myself sometimes too.
No, I really did. Like, I was like, dang, like, that sucks. Like, I'm so sorry, like, you had to go through that.
Yeah.
And I really think that, like, even when you told me, I think I was like 12 or something. And I had so many friends that were talking to just older guys online. Like at the time, like Kik was a thing, like KIK. Yeah, like that Kik app where like, they were just talking like to just, strangers online or Omegle or stuff like that. And so it's just like, dang, like I felt like you needed to share your story, because I remember you asked me, you were like, well, if you don't want me to share my story, like I don't have to. And I was like, no, like I think that you do,
Yeah.
because the reality is that there's so many young women out there, or like young girls
Yeah.
in general, that
Yeah.
just, like they don't have like, and not to bag on their parents, but it's just like they don't have that like kind of parental guidance
Yeah.
on how to like,
Where there's open dialogue about things like this.
or even having like a healthy relationship in general, like healthy relationship with like your mom or your dad, or like your parents in general. So it's just, I always thought that you like, it was so important for you to like share your story.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. And that really helped me with seeing it from a different perspective, right? Because having been in the industry and then having to share that with your child like that, it doesn't feel good. It was scary for me. It didn't feel good. I remember your reaction being that like, you're like, no, like this is going to help so many people. And so I really did appreciate that. It was encouraging, it was comforting, and I didn't feel like a complete failure, And so and all of those things are going through your head when you're telling your child, that this is what you've been through. Do you think that maybe in a way, shape, or form that me telling you my story did that kind of help you navigate? Because I can't be with you 24/7, right? So did that help you navigate a little bit of like, hey, I'm going to make sure that I'm not engaging in this type of, communication with somebody online. I'm going to make sure I don't talk to this person. Like I know what's going on over here, making better choices with friends. Do you think that that kind of helped you in a way?
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, you guys have always never like sheltered like me and Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
We were always exposed to things like at age appropriate times.
Mm-hmm.
So if I wanted to do something, you would either be like, if I wanted to go to a concert to like a secular metal band, when I was like 14, I wanted to go see Sleeping with Sirens and Pierce the Veil. Shout out to them. No, like
that was actually a good concert.
It was a good concert, but I was like 14 and I really wanted to go.
Yeah.
And you were like, okay, I'm going to take you. And so I felt like, and if I wanted to do something and you felt like it wasn't good to do at that time, like
age appropriate.
Yeah,
it wasn't age appropriate.
It wasn't age appropriate. So, like not this year, maybe, in like a year or two from now. And, we can talk about it and, gander and ponder that thought. So, I mean, I never felt like I had like FOMO, like fear of missing out.
Yeah.
So I've always felt that.
Thank
like,
God. And when people hear Valerie say like to a secular concert, like Valerie did grow up in a Christian household. So we developed a relationship with Jesus Christ when you were, 6 years old or something like that? Yes, it was 6. And so you basically grew up in a Christian household. And so, I understand when there's people that are Christians and they're like, we just don't let our kids listen to any secular music. Like, listen, if that's the conviction that you have, then stick to it. Like if that's something that God is really pressing on your heart and you're like, I don't want to partake in that, then God is doing that for a reason, to protect you, and he knows best, right? And so for us, I just felt like I never wanted to shelter you in a way where it's like, you, by the time you're older, you're like jonesing to leave the house and not be in there anymore because you feel like you're under such immense control, right? And then, so I didn't want to do that. I also didn't want to keep you so sheltered so that by the time you guys go out, right, into the real world, you're like, well, how do I navigate through this? The reality is I can't be with you 24/7. I'm not God, but God is with you 24/7. He is omnipresent. And so for me, I just felt like there had to be a learning curve there for you to figure things out. And so, at age appropriate times, we did things, we said things, we had conversations at age appropriate times. I told you my story at a totally different age than what I told your brother. Right. And so, what would you say to your generation, right? Because the reality is you graduated high school and there's a high percentage of girls that you graduated with that you're like, oh my gosh, she's in the life now, or she's in the industry, or and it's like, I'm like, every time you show me, like, you're like, oh, I went to high school with her. I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's so crazy to me. So what would you say to your age bracket, to your generation about, you know, what they think they're maybe getting into and what the reality of it is? Because you get to see it from both sides, right? You get to see the girls when they're like in the throes of it, and then you're also with me when we're helping them when they're barely leaving, or when they've been out for a while and they're still struggling with a lot of mental health or physical health issues, right? That they're trying to navigate through. So what would you say to somebody that's within your age bracket that's thinking about going into the sex industry?
Definitely listen to survivors that have been out for a long time and that are healthy. Especially like you, Annie Lobert.
There's Brittany De La Mora.
Yeah. Just, hearing their stories and hearing their takes, and then gathering that information, and then, looking at like all the different possibilities of like what could possibly happen to you in the industry and after the industry, and take into the consideration of like the mental aftermath of what's to come when you decide to leave. Or unfortunately, like there's some women that just like they never get the chance to leave because they pass away in the industry.
They die in it.
Whether it's like a drug overdose or suicide,
or at the hands of somebody else.
At the hands of like a trick, or their pimp, or just some weird stalker guy. So I just take into consideration everything. Your mental health is number one, because you are your own worst enemy. And I firmly believe that, like, if you decide to get into this industry, I feel like you really need to understand
what
like,
the long-term ramifications are.
What the long-term ramifications.
And the reality is your age demographic, they're instant gratification, right? You guys are growing up in the age of instant gratification, which
like right now, I need that to happen right now. Because I need to feel loved, or I need to feel this or that, and
validated, like, affirmed, whatever.
And it's so, just like, whoa, take a little step back. So
and think about it.
I think that's really everything.
I think that's really good advice to take heed, especially to what the older veteran survivors that are in a healthy place. Joshua Broome is also a really good person for people to kind of like listen to some of the stuff that he's putting out.
Because a lot of people don't pay attention to the men who are in the sex industry. So I think the guys, I think Joshua Broome is a really good example for guys. Or to like reach out to, like, if they're still in the industry, or like if they just got out and they need like help and support. I'm sure Joshua is a good person to probably reach out to and get that advice from.
What do you think about the girls in your age bracket that are like, okay, I'm just going to put stuff up on OnlyFans. And so it's not that bad because I'm not really engaging, one-on-one with somebody. What do you think about the normalization of OnlyFans if in your guys' generation?
I definitely think that it's probably a lack of self-value. Definitely at the first and forefront, but also like you don't know who's viewing your content. And so you don't know, like, there could be a guy in like a basement or somewhere like just
plotting and scheming to
plotting
start stalking you.
Yeah, or something like it's
and
just
you're like young and like
and
naive
yeah,
and not thinking.
you don't know because
Yeah.
you're just posting that you're just hitting posts and creating a caption. Boop, there's your content, and then guys are just spending like $20-$30 a month or how so, you know, just to see your content, and you don't know who's actually consuming that.
Yeah.
So
or who's
like,
going to come across it.
Right. Or who's going to come across it. Like,
is your family going to find that
your
online?
family, your employer.
Yeah.
You know,
there's a lot to consider.
Because it's the internet, and the internet doesn't go away.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So
you always hear me say, I'm so happy I didn't work in the age of the internet, because I don't know that my mental health could have withstood that. Well, Valerie, I want to thank you so much for not only being here with me right now, giving us your perspective and your vantage point, right? On some of these tough questions that a lot of people are trying to navigate through. And so thank you for being here with me right now, but also thank you for all your hard work leading up to AVN. It's a very big outreach. It's one of our bigger ones that we do every year here in Las Vegas. And thank you for being so kind and genuine with the girls when you see them. I love that. I love that they're like, can I give you a hug? And you're like, yes, of course.
Yes. I love hugging them.
I know. And you're not a very touchy-feely person.
I'm not. I have to like go out of my comfort zone to like give somebody a hug.
But no, like so I don't, genuine when you do it.
I don't even feel like I have to push myself to hug them.
Yeah,
it's just like I just want to scoop them up.
Yeah, I know. I want to scoop everybody up too, and keep everybody safe. So
yeah, but I genuinely like I love seeing their faces, and then the fact that they're like, oh my gosh, that's your mom. I'm like, yeah, it's I love like the whole experience, and then picking out everything that's inside of the gift bags, and then being like, wow, this is stuff that
there's
I
attention to detail.
Yeah, there's like, wow, this is stuff that I can really actually use.
Yeah,
and it's like stuff that I use.
Yeah.
So I like if I use it and I love it and I know and love that product, like I'm gonna put it in the gift bag.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you so much for all of that. I appreciate it.
Yes,
I love you.
I love you too,
my little muffin.